Hello, my dear friends of good design. Welcome to the Daily Creative Challenges in Adobe Illustrator. I'm your host, Julia Vaca. And this series of challenges we've been going through last week and this one so far, and I'm going to be hosting until the end of the week. So we are kind of doing a lot of experimentation work. So while we are also looking at different tools and trying to explore and experiment, we're also just trying to be an experimental designer, right? So this is what this series is all about. So I'm super excited for today's Daily Creative Challenge, and it's going to be all about creating patterns. And I know some of you really love creating patterns. I've seen some of the amazing work. So if you are new here and you want to join us for the Daily Creative Challenges, make sure to join us on our Discord channel. And the link to that is bit.ly/AI Discord. This is where we all come together and create amazing work and get some amazing feedback from our pros. So here, this is what it looks like. This is our Discord channel, and we have some amazing submissions from the last challenge. Here, one by Julia Vaca. How cool is that? This is so nice. I think it's a combination of two challenges that's been done here. I really love the color setup and the typography that you've used here. I think this looks super amazing. Here, one by Kimsh, Parent-Child Dance. Yesterday, we were kind of trying to create a poster for a festival or any kind of event, a promotional poster, right? So this was super, super fun. And here we have a bunch of other ones that you can take a look at. You can give each other feedback and just hang out and learn from each other. All right, my friends. So also another place to visit if you are new here is our Daily Creative Challenge page, where you can get the challenges every single day. So you can see today's challenge is unlocked, tomorrow's is still secret. And I'm super excited until the end of this week. We still have a lot of amazing, really fun challenges, I promise. And so today we're going to be creating a pattern, and you can get the starter file that looks like this. So we have a little intro that I've created for you and a little artboard. So this challenge starter file is free for you to use, and this is where we are going to be working in. And so you can get that by clicking get started right here in our challenges here. And you can also watch the replays from the past challenges and download those files as well if you want to. And feel free to submit any past challenges into the challenge feedback right here in our Discord. And it's right here where it says feedback and challenge. This is where you can submit your work for review or just submit it just for fun, to kind of have some kind of commitment while practicing design. I know how hard it is. I learned design myself online, so I think this is a really great platform for you to learn step by step. And with every single challenge, you learn something new, a little small tool, a little trick. So yeah, let's jump right into this, my friends. So who is here in the chat? We have a bunch of lovely people here. Katarina is here, Wade is here, Barbara, Andres, Mwendwa is here, Laura is here. Awesome. Cool. Come say hi. Don't be shy. Ask questions. This is what we're here for. So friends, after you download the starter file, we are jumping straight into Illustrator, and we are going to be working with patterns today. We're going to be creating patterns, and I'm going to show you multiple ways of creating a pattern. Of course, you can create a pattern that's very irregular, and you can just create it yourself by just creating multiple pieces of shapes. But you can also use the pattern tool that we have inside Illustrator, which is super fun, and we're going to be playing with it a lot. Cool. On the job learning around, you know what? I always keep on learning, and I think if you don't stop learning, you will just evolve with the time, because technology evolves so fast. And I feel like this is good not only for beginners but also for people who are already on the job and just want to learn new tools, new tricks inside Illustrator. Cool. And we have Arshad also joining us. Cool. Graphic design family. Yes, we are a graphic design family, and it's so great that these days you don't even have to go to school to learn design, right? You can learn these things online, and I'm really passionate about that. Cool. So my friends, let's jump right into this, and we're going to be creating a little layout so that we can see you know, how our pattern can actually enrich a graphic, not just be a pattern. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool, and I'm going to create, holding shift, I'm going to create a square. And this later on can be a post or whatever you want it to be, but I'm going to be creating just a layout, pretending for it to be a social media post maybe. Then I'm going to select this square, or proportionate rectangle, and I'm going to use the eyedropper tool using the letter I on my keyboard, and I'm going to sample. Oh, you can actually sample the pattern, but I'm going to sample a color first so that we have a background. But yes, with the eyedropper tool, you can also sample fonts, you can sample patterns and all of that stuff. And you can see also what I was doing here. I was not just using, you know, a simple shape like a rectangle or a circle. I actually created this very custom shape. So that's what I want to encourage you as well, because those custom shapes, they are unique. Something that's hand drawn with a pen tool or a pencil tool is unique, and that's how you can make unique content or unique designs, right? So as a next step, I'm going to be using again the rectangle tool, and I'm going to create another rectangle that covers half of my square. And right now you don't see it because it's the same exact color, but I'm going to double click into the fill, and I'm going to select a very light shade of that blue. All right, so now we have a rectangle and we have a square that's laying underneath. And maybe for the rectangle here, I might just sample this light gray color that we already have here. And this already starts looking like the Ukrainian flag, except for the bottom part would be yellow. Anyway, so let's place this, or actually let's create another rectangle. Holding Option, I'm going to create another copy of this, and I'm going to sample. I'm going to actually just make, let's make them the same size. So let's adjust them to the center of the square. And now we have two rectangles. One of them will be filled with a pattern, and one of them will just be white, so that it's a background for our text, right? So for this, I'm going to just flip the color, and I'm going to, or actually no, let's not do it, forget about it. Let's just imagine that we have a text in here in the bottom. So what that would look like is we're using the type tool, and we're going to be creating a little piece of text, and it's going to be saying something like creating a pattern. Actually, you know what's, well, we'll make it super easy. We can just simply take this text right here and put it at the bottom. But of course, feel free to type in whatever you want with the type tool. So what I'm going to do to unlock this is Command Option and 2, and I'm going to select some of these pieces of text. You can see that these pieces of text are already outlined, so you cannot edit them, right? The reason for that is because this typeface is a typeface that you probably won't have, and that's the reason I made it easier for you, so you don't get a default typeface instead. All right, so holding Option, I'm going to copy and paste this piece of text. You can see it's now in the background, and I'm clicking Command Shift and Command Shift and square bracket closed, or you can right click, arrange, bring to front. See, this is what I click. This is the key combination that you click to achieve the same result of bringing something to the front. Command, Shift, and square bracket closed, and square bracket open would bring it to the back. All right, now I'm going to Command and G, group it, group the text. So whenever I move this around, this is going to be a big piece of text. All right, so we have these two pieces kind of already designed. Now for the top, we're going to be applying a pattern. And for this pattern, we're going to be creating a couple random shapes so that we can experiment with it a little bit. Let's push this piece a little bit to the side, and let's kind of look how our pattern will evolve in here in this shape. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this tool here and select the pencil tool, or you can simply click N on your keyboard. Okay. So, and now I'm going to be drawing a little blob, and it can be just like a really abstract kind of shape that you draw. And I'm going to use, again, the letter I on my keyboard to use the sample, the eyedropper tool to sample the same color. There we go. So now I have this really cool, fun, a little funky shape. You can, of course, go and create something more minimalistic, maybe like a star. And the star you can access through the rectangle tool by clicking and holding and selecting the star. And you can also do the same thing with the star, just like that. So let's create two options, one a little bit more minimalistic and one a little bit more blobby and fun and funky. So now let's get into creating patterns, and I'm going to make this one just a little bit smaller. By holding shift, you can see that I can resize proportionately. If I don't hold shift, my shape can change and it will be maybe even distorted. So that's something I want to avoid. So I'm holding and pressing and holding shift while resizing this shape. And I feel like my left hand is always kind of close to the shift or the command or the option button. To click, hold option and drag, you create a copy, right? Then to move the object horizontally or vertically, you can hold shift as well. So if I want to move the object exactly to the top, exactly vertically, so that it doesn't move around, right? I can also hold shift, or I can also move it horizontally that way, holding shift. So shift helps you kind of get a better orientation and be more precise when moving objects. And now you see also another thing that I wanted to clarify for all of you who are new to Illustrator. You can see all of these lines that pop up here. You might not have that set. So to set that, those are called smart guides, and they help you kind of arrange the object to different things. So let's say we wanted to arrange this object to this top corner and make sure that it's exactly aligned to this rectangle. Whenever I move it around, I see these guides pop up, and you can set those by going into View and Activate Smart Guides. Now, if you feel like your object is snapping to things that you don't want it to snap, it might be that you have it set to snap to point, snap to pixel, or snap to grid. I have all of those turned off, and I'm using Smart Guides instead. I feel like it gives you a lot of freedom, and it also gives you a good kind of orientation of, where the object is snapping to. All right, so now let's get into patterns. And I am going to use this exact shape to create a pattern. So I have the shape selected, as you can see, and I'm going into Object, Pattern, Make. Okay, and we have this little window pop up telling us, hey, your pattern is going to be added to the swatches panel, which is right here. And you can see already there are some patterns in here. So this is where my pattern is going to be saved to. So I'm clicking OK. That's good for me. Now we have automatically this window come out over here. And those are the pattern options. And here is the name of our pattern. Let's call it blob. And here we have different types of tiles that we can set up. We can have a grid that's just repetitive like that. We can also have a little shifted kind of grid that's called brick by row. Then we can also have brick by column, which I think for this pattern makes way more sense. And now we can also adjust the width and the height of this exact piece and so on. And then move tile with art. That means if I'm moving my object, the tile, which is this repetitive element, is going to move with it. Now if I unclick it, I can move my object also by itself without the tile. That can be beneficial if you're working with a very complex pattern, but for now let's just keep that very simple. Now we can also size the tile to art, which means that whenever I resize my object, my tile, which is this repetitive element, is going to be resizing with it. Now if I unclick that and I resize my object, you can see that my tile still stays the same, but my object resizes. In the same way, I can also turn around the object. And the reason why this is so beneficial to turn the object is because you can see how this white space acts between these kind of tiles, right? So we can see right now we have a lot of white space here. So maybe let's turn it back to a little bit to this direction, and maybe we want to make it a little bit bigger. So here you can play around. In the same way, you can also go into the direct selection tool and you can play around with these exact points. So if you see, hey, you know what, this is kind of really close to the other object, you can still change the object, the way the object curve flows by using the direct selection tool right here. Okay, so this can help us kind of create a more balanced pattern by adjusting the object itself, right? So feel free to do that as well. All right, so once we're done, we can also create overlaps and create copies, see how many copies are. Let's say we have a 1x1, or we have a 3x3, or we have a 9x9. So depending on what the purpose is for your pattern, it might be kind of useful to set the amount of these copies. All right, cool. We have the tile edge here, some more details. So now let's save this pattern, and I'm going to click done to save it. Right here at the top we have the little button done. Now if you don't do it and simply click out of it, the pattern might not be saved. So we're going to click done, and now we can see right here we have when we hover over this swatch, we have the little name pop up, and the name is blob because I named it blob, right? So this is our blob pattern that we have already created. Cool. Now this object is still there, so it's not disappearing somewhere into the pattern. It's still there for you. You can still kind of create copies of it or use it as you like. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to apply this exact swatch with a pattern to this rectangle. And to apply the pattern, you need to have a specific shape that it's going to fill, kind of like a fill color, but in this case it's a pattern that fills a shape, right? So you can even create a custom shape and fill it with the pattern. So let's say we have a circle and we can fill it with this swatch with this pattern, right? So how cool is this? This looks so fun. And I might even keep that. I don't know. Let's just keep this by side. And also another cool thing is, so you can see this is almost like Sherlock Holmes kind of a flashlight looking setting. So right now when I move the shape, my pattern stays in place, and I can give you a tip of how to change that. In the same way, if I resize my circle, my pattern still stays in shape, but I can also set it so that the pattern scales and moves with my shape. And for that, we're going to go into Object, Transform, Scale, and we are going to transform patterns. Right here we can click on transform patterns, and now I'm going to click OK. And whenever I'm going to resize or move my circle, my pattern is now fixed to that object, and it's kind of just filling that object exactly the way I've set it, so that I don't get any other kind of results that I don't want. Okay, so whenever you feel like your pattern is filling the shape perfectly, set it to move with object or scale with object. All right, cool. So let's put this somewhere over here. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be doing with this, but this is kind of one way to do it. Now another way is to just fill a regular rectangular shape with a pattern, and I'm going to do the same thing here. And you can see that the setting is still applied, although I have applied it to this exact object, right? So whenever I move the rectangle, my shape stays in place. Now I feel like, you know, my shapes are kind of large in this specific setup, and I want to make them a little bit smaller, and I want to maybe resize the rectangle and then size it down so that my shapes are smaller in it and there are more of them kind of filling the shape. All right, so I'm going back into Object, Transform, Scale, and I'm going to unclick Transform Patterns, and I'm not moving this one. This one is kind of already set, so I'm going to hold Shift and resize this rectangle quite a lot, and I'm going to find a good position for it to kind of be filled with this pattern. Right now that I have kind of set it up perfectly already, I can go in again, Object, Transform, Scale, and click onto transform patterns. And now when I scale it down, you can see that it's going to be scaling together with my shape, which is now, I feel like, a way better way to do this. All right, now we have another thing that we might want to change, and it's the color of this specific shape, right? So I can still go in here, double clicking into my, let me go back so I can share with you how I did this. So let's say I want to change the color of this blue right here, and I wanted maybe to change it to white because blue on blue won't be visible, right? So I want to create some type of contrast, and for that, I can still go into my swatch right here, right? Into the blob swatch, double click it, and now I can go select this object and I can adjust the color in the color settings by double clicking, going to adjust it to white. Okay, now my swatch is changing to white. I'm clicking done to save it. Now you can see my pattern is all white already. Perfect. And now my circle is also still here, which I kind of really love. Let's create something for this circle as well, just to experiment. I'm going to create another circle, going to eyedrop, select this color, the blue color, and I'm going to place the pattern on top with Command Shift and square bracket closed, just like that. And I'm going to match this second circle in the background to my circle, and I'm going to play around with it a little bit. So the pattern one, I'm going to lock it with Command and 2. And now when I select it, I'm only selecting the blue one. And with the blue one, I'm going to apply some gradient to it real quick, just to experiment, because I feel like this could look really nice. And here we have the gradient tool right here. And I'm going to select it, and once I have that, I'm going into properties, and here we have the gradient settings. We have a linear gradient, a radial gradient, and a freeform gradient. I'm going to be doing a freeform gradient in this shape. Now, when I'm going to zoom into this, when I'm going to zoom in, not out, you can see that we can set dots with color. And now I can double click into this and I can select the color that I want it to be. And we can play around with this. And here you can see this is what a flexible freeform gradient is that you can set color points, and then those color points are filled with color, and depending on how you move them around, the color will distribute. So I'm going to go in and maybe make this one, I don't know, a different color, something like this. And you can see you can really create something really cool with the gradient tool and in combination with the pattern tool. Anyway, just a quick experiment. We can set that by side, unlock with Command, Option, and 2 right there, and bam, we're gonna set it by side, maybe use it at some other point. And one last thing, let's create a pattern let's create 2 variations of our post actually. One of them will be with white blobs, and the other one will be with blue stars. So I'm creating a copy of this, and I'm going to keep that here, and we're going to be filling it with the star pattern afterwards. So let's quickly create a pattern for the star. Oh, I know, I'm talking really fast today. Cool. You couldn't use a pattern within another pattern is still the case. Let's try it out. So how about we take this pattern right here, and we're going to go and all right, let's click into this, and we're going to be selecting the object and applying a pattern to it. Yes, it's possible. You can do an inception like that whenever you go and double click into this editing option and recolor your pattern piece into a pattern. It's possible, but I'm going to cancel this for now. But yes, you can definitely experiment with that as well. I was not sure about that because I've actually never tried it out, but yes, it is possible. Cool. Let's create a pattern. Let's remove that, and let's create a quick pattern with our star. And I'm going to go into Object, Pattern, Make. Here we have a really cool star pattern already going, and I'm going to call it Star. There we go. And we can experiment with the grids how we want it. This actually looks pretty cool. And maybe I want to tilt the star a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, maybe something like this. Or yeah, this looks really cool actually. Okay. All right. So I'm going to click done, and now I have my pattern already saved. So here you can see my star pattern is already here. It's saying star as well if you hover over it. Okay, so now we can go in and remove this guy here, and we're going to be selecting a different color for that. With the eyedropper tool, I want to sample the color underneath this, so I'm going to just move that object quickly to the side. So now I've created a darker background so that I can see my star on top of that, right? And now we're going to create a copy of this. Command Shift and square bracket close, and we're going to apply the star pattern to it. Cool, look at that. That's fun. All right, let's push all of these by side and let's export our posts real quick. So I'm going to move these apart just a little bit like that. Cool. All right, so make sure that your objects are nice and overlapping each other. So now we can move that back if we want to, but this is not going to export anyways. So now I'm going into File, Export, Export As, and here I'm going to select Use Artboards, and I'm going to go for JPEG in this case, and I'm going to click Export. Okay, and now what I would like all of you to do is whenever you're done exporting and it saves in your computer, please go into our Discord channel, and here again real quick the link bit.ly/AI Discord, and post your submission into this chat at the #challenge under feedback. All right, my friends, so I hope you had fun with this challenge, and we have another challenge exactly the same time, same place tomorrow. So please tune back in and let me know how you like the challenge. Feel free to reach out on Discord to me as well, and feel free, if you post this post on, I don't know, any social media, feel free to tag me at Julia Masalska. All right, have a wonderful day and stay tuned for the program. We have Ruben Cespedes coming up with designing a mobile app in Adobe XD. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.